In heart, I am an American, and in heart, I'm a Muslim. In heart, I'm an American artist. And I have no guilt. I seek pleasure. I seek nerves under your skin. The narrow archway, the layers, the scroll of ancient letters. To worship the
music instrument like a guitar, piano is not acceptable in Islam. Go to any sheikh, ask any imam.
There is no sheikh, there is no imam.
Isn't there an ayah that says there's no authority? It's
there
just
is no sheikh, there is no imam. There isn't anyone who's a higher authority than you are.
Instead of worshipping Allah SWT, do the tazkirah of Allah, you're listening to nonsense. Music is a nonsense, brother. It's nothing but a nonsense. Banging the thing is nothing but nonsense. You all know that. Doesn't mean whatever please you is good.
It's what's called Sharia law in the USA.
I stopped trying to define punk around the same time I stopped trying to define Islam. They aren't so far removed as you'd think. Both began in tremendous bursts of truth and vitality, but seem to have lost something along the way. The energy, perhaps, that comes with knowing the world has never seen such positive force and fury, and never would again. Both have suffered from sellouts and hypocrites, but also from true believers whose devotion had crippled their creative drive. Both are viewed by outsiders as unified, cohesive communities when nothing can be further from the truth. I could go on, but the most important similarity is that, like punk, as mentioned above, Islam is itself a flag, an open symbol representing not things, but ideas. You cannot hold punk or Islam in your hands. So what could they mean besides what you want them to?
Michael Muhammad Knight, the author of the Taqwacore, a book that in many ways wrote the future of the North American Muslim punk music scene. Knight's book takes us into a vibrant house of aspiring punk musicians living in Buffalo, New York, from mohawked Sufis to burqa-wearing riot girls and Indonesian skater boys. Michael, much like the characters in the Taqwacore, you're not what most people think of as a typical Muslim. You grew up in an Irish Catholic family.
Yeah.
What led you to Islam?
I accepted Islam when I was 16. I was raised by my mother. When I was 15, I read the autobiography of Malcolm X, and it was that same year that I met my father for the first time. My father lives about an hour and a half away from here on a mountain by himself. He's a rapist, and a racial separatist. Now, when I was 17, in my senior year of high school, I got to take 2 months off and go to Pakistan and live in a mosque, basically. I went through this stage of getting this very hardcore, very austere, and uncreative Saudi Islam. The demands of organized religion eventually wore me down. When I began to re-examine Islam, I wrote this novel, The Taqwacores. At the time, I was hanging out with punk kids in college. To me, punk was an ideology completely antithetical to my religious experience, because punk hailed individualism and nonconformity and being yourself in a very loud and unapologetic way. So I imagined this punk rock house. And in this punk rock house, you know, there's no authority and there's no structure, and you have all these different kids with different interpretations of religion. There's no one to dictate to you what Islam means, and therefore you yourself have to determine what Islam means.
Never heard of the book or Michael Knight, sadly, until some girl from California just happened to tell me about this book. It was like, hey, have you read the Taqwacores? And I sent the author an email just on a whim, and he responded.
You know, I looked at his website and I saw pictures of him, you know, this gallant punk hero with his big purple mohawk, and he looked like the hero of my fiction.
And he sent me the book, and I finished the book in about 5 hours or something. Just sat down, just breezed through it. It spoke to two parts of how I was living my life. A, around my parents, the Muslim side of it, and two, just the American, typical, high school kid. But I had never been able to meld the two together.
Where are the drink tickets?
Oh man, I think they're all gone.
What do you mean they're all gone? What about my drink? The coolest logo I've seen next to the Coca-Cola one and the North Korea flag, which are incidentally the same. It's very cool. Holding the gun, it says Hezbollah. It says Army of God, half off of falafels off of 3rd Street, New York. That's what it says.
When I came to Lexington, when I moved from Lahore to Lexington, I was made fun of because I had an accent in high school. I used to talk like this all the time. The kids in my suburban town, they was like, oh yeah, Muslims are so crazy, you know what I mean? They're just blowing up school buses full of kids in Israel, this and that. Their idea of what Muslims were was very narrow. But with punk kids, there was a lot of doubts and suspicion about anything that was corporate. There was a lot of suspicion about what America was doing abroad. So I felt like among punk kids, I was kind of the differences I had were sort of celebrated, and I enjoyed that a lot.
I'm masturbating in here.
Dude, that's my spot. Why?
This is a pretty funny picture. This is my grandfather on my dad's side, and that's some random dude. And every time my white friends come over, they're like, oh, it's the terrorist picture. Bassem and I met at our local mosque when we were freshmen in high school.
My dad was like, here, meet this kid named Shahjahan. He also plays guitar. And I was really excited because Pakistan heavy metal is very popular. So the first time I meet him, I had this accent. I was like, hey, Shahjahan, do you like Cannibal Corpse? Is what I said to him. And he's like, Cannibal what? You know, I listen to Bob Marley.
I don't come from a punk background. I used to listen to Coolio, Boys to Men. I had a really, cheesy band in high school. We'd do Weezer covers and stuff.
My great-grandfather.
It's fucking Qaid-e-Azam, man.
Huh?
This is Qaid-e-Azam. This is Muhammad Ali Jinnah.
That's right.
And Shahjahan has been telling people for the past few years
no, I
that
fucked
it's his
up
great
because...
grandfather.
No.
Well, Bassem and Shahjahan ended up starting a band. And they called it the Caminas, which has been translated various ways as like the bastards or the low-born.
We are the Caminas.
Kutte Kamina
Kutte
Haramzade.
Kamina Haramzade. We are from Boston Stan.
Muslim Bollywood punk. Hard to picture, perhaps, but it exists. The two met at college and absorbed Michael Muhammad Knight's Taqwacores, fictional tales of a Muslim punk house of a friendly, pluralistic Islamic bent.
We just ended up connecting the dots. After the Caminas, there was a kid in DC named Omar Majeed who combined punk with his leanings towards Sufism, and he described his ambition as making a sound like Minor Threat doing qawwalis. You know, and then there was a kid in Chicago named Marwan who was of Arab origin, and he was anarcho-punk. You know, and his songs were about politics in the Middle East and in North America. There was another band in Vancouver called Secret Trial 5, which was an all-girl Taqwacore band. And the difficulty of having a subculture that is like a minority of a minority of a minority of a minority, you know, like Muslim punk rock kids, is that it was so geographically spread out that we couldn't really manifest it in real life. It just seemed like an internet thing, which made it, you know, obviously less real. So we wanted to see if this could manifest in real life. And then came the concept of going, you know, rounding up all these people and going on a tour. We should go out west sometime, get a van, make like an interstate Jamaat. Fuck, if we did it this summer, we could stop at the ISTA convention in Chicago. We should do that. Hit them all, make a tour of it. We'll get thrown out of all of them. And along the way, we'd round up all the queer alims, drunk imams, punk ayatollahs, masochistic muftis, junkie sheikhs, retarded mullahs, and gutter-mouthed maulanas we could find. Just load up a van till we can't fit no more, and then have guys hanging off the side like in Rawal fucking Pindi. Shit, man, down to I-90.
Mike sent me a book and I read the book. I read it and I liked it a lot. And I said, you know, let's make this happen. I think pissing people off, it has a lot more to do with, you know, forcing people to think than it really is just about pissing people off.
How far are you guys traveling? How much more traveling you got to do?
We're going to Chicago, but it's not like a straight shot.
Okay.
We're like going to Baltimore.
All right, just checking over things for you, doing a quick overlook. You guys are going to be needing a serpentine belt real soon.
Really?
We don't want the bus to explode before we want it to explode. So that's key.
Chances are the bus will explode, but
Yeah.
it doesn't need to explode because of this.
Yeah, right.
Shit! I love you, Shaj.
I love you too. I started smoking pot and drinking and stuff when I was like 16 and a half, or 16, and immediately kind of latched onto it in a way that my other friends didn't. I just found myself very depressed, getting stoned all the time, every day, all day. I'm sort of the oldest child of very, very successful, you know, immigrants who have a pretty high standing amongst their community. I try not to use that. You know, there's plenty of blaming your parents and everything in therapy for what's wrong with you. But, you know, I've always had a whole lot of guilt. I'm still not exactly sure where the guilt comes from.
I'm sorry, Abu. मैं भी जाके इस मिरर को ठीक कराता हूँ. I was just reversing the garden and I heard it hit it against something. On that tree right over there. It wouldn't be me, I guess, if I didn't destroy another car.
Well, that sucks.
अच्छा मैं इधर आ जब भी बात है.
Have fun.
मजा आएगा सही.
मुझे रोज फोन करके
रोज फोन करूं?
How you doing, Mike? I have an idea.
If you take the one right step in a good direction, then usually the rest isn't in your hands. You just end up being coasted along for the next 1,000 steps because so many people have faith in what you're doing and so many people join up with you.
Fuck it. Allahu Akbar. My niyyah for this shit is because people want to paint us as like the good West-friendly Muslims, you know, just because we rebel against certain things within conservative Islam, then that must make us, you know, super patriotic fucking Republican voters or something, you know what I mean? You know, and I think it's important that anyone who steps on this bus trying to understand us sees that in the so-called war of civilizations, we're putting the middle finger in both directions, you know? Fuck you and fuck you.
I think we should just hang the flag upside down and just put it back here. Because it still makes the same statement and it doesn't disrespect anybody to the point where they want to kill us. I think I'm still trying to define my relationship to Taqwacore because, I mean, I can relate to a lot of the stuff in the book, so I see it as a positive thing, but at the same time, there's like a lot of stuff in the book that I don't necessarily agree with. But I still feel like it was necessary for me to come. I noticed that everyone is staring at me. I wonder why. Suddenly a guy in the back stands up and he starts pointing at me. And everyone's eyes turn bright red, like they're filled with rage. Or maybe it's fear. So we drove a big green bus here. Yeah. And on the way we got pulled over by the NYPD. Apparently somebody said there was propane tanks on our bus. I'm not sure why.
This song's called Fertilizer.
What if I could see you? What'd you say to me all the time? There's a whole lot inside, and the words can make you right. Scream 1,000 times, scream 1,000 times. What do you hate? Every day, that's my love. Every day, the true love. Every day, that's my love. Every day, no, I wanna hate you. Why won't you live me up?
When they say, I want to fuck you during Ramadan, that to me is like, all right, there's something going on here, you know? When somebody who's a Muslim and says, I am a Muslim, and says that, that's punk rock. That is the punkest that it gets.
What I was kind of wondering is if they've actually read the Quran, or if they're practicing Muslims or not. You know, do they drink? What's their view on Islam?
While we were in New York, I wanted to share some of the American Islamic tradition that helped me develop as a Muslim. The 5 Percenters have a devastating critique of organized religion that to me mixes a little bit with punk rock, because in a so-called punk view of religion, you are your authority and you're not entrusting your soul to other human beings. The basic idea of the 5 Percenters is that all this divine power that you fear as being something outside of yourself that's going to come down and crush you, all of that power is actually within you, that you are your Allah. So rather than entrust your religion to the imams or the priests or whoever, you become the master of your own cipher.
Here we go. How can I swim 9,000
For me, looking at American history, and even my own family history, I mean, I have like Confederate captains in my, ancestry, and my father was a white supremacist. So for me to look at all that, that's my heritage, I understand what it means to be born devil. To me, it's like I'm born with a history that I inherited. I didn't choose it for myself. So I could see myself as a devil who wants to be cleaned up.
You refer yourself as a devil. We really don't. I mean, your background speaks for itself as you spoke about it. But your righteousness is what we really embrace and what we really speak about. And it's the choice that you made, that you could have went the other way, but instead you came this way. And that's peace. That's highly commendable.
My mother was horrifically abused by my father. My father would stay up all night just saying the craziest shit, and she would have to know what was the point and what were the things she had to remember to stay alive. Because if he said, you cheated on me with Satan, and Michael is Satan's son, after 6 hours of him lecturing her, she would have to remember that so that he didn't, cut my head off, because he threatened to do that. At the time when my mom first started opening up about my dad, I was 13, and that's when I started listening to Public Enemy and stuff. And the anger that Public Enemy was communicating had nothing to do with what I was angry about. It was anger. And it was anger with pride, and it was anger with the pride of being right. And then I meet my father for the first time. I was 15 when I met him. He asked me, where do you stand religiously? Where are you leaning religiously? And I said, Islam. And he said, oh, you don't like niggers, do you? I went to bed that night just knowing that Islam was my correction of him.
You come up with the Taqwacore and you have it's a piece of fiction, it is a fantasy world to you, and all of a sudden, there are people who read it, and it is a calling for them. What's that like when you realize people are identifying with your book in that respect?
Well, like I said, I wrote it from a place of extreme loneliness. Because, when I was in the mosque, I only saw kids in their mosque mode. And then I started putting it out there, and these kids came back to me saying, oh yeah, I'm Muslim and I'm punk. One of the people who responded to that was this 15-year-old Persian kid in Texas. And he wrote to me asking how he can meet these people. And I said to him, I'm sorry, this was fiction. These were fictional characters. There's no such thing as Taqwacore. And he said, well, I'm gonna make it real then, because I'm Taqwacore.
It kind of gave me hope, knowing that there's other kids like me out there.
We've all been, talking with Karush via the internet, through email, MySpace for a couple of years now, but we've never met. Everybody on this bus is very, very excited to finally meet him, this kid who was an inspiration for all of us.
What's up, motherfuckers? Hey, man, what's up? Without Mike Knight, there would be no Taqwacore!
I feel like I'm in a dream, honestly. I mean, look at all these different kids coming from different backgrounds all at one place. It's pretty unbelievable, and it was just from one guy writing a book, and then bam, a couple of years later, it's like all across the world, people are starting to notice things.
Yeah, my parents were born in Pakistan. Is the interview started?
Yes.
It's been going the whole time, actually.
Oh, shit.
We're not freaking street preachers, and we're not slam dancing for Allah.
Do you feel like your music is angry? I think a lot of... No, it's not angry, it's funny. They're just jokes to us. I mean, they make sense to us.
thing's a joke. But
So are you kind of making a statement against mass media or consumerism, or?
It's more about what we're doing for ourselves than like what we're doing like in response to other people.
People like those kids are assholes. I can't believe those Muslims are trying to make music. And the other ones will be like, you assholes, you like fucking are desecrating the name of the prophet, we're gonna come and kill you.
Yeah.
It's a little different.
Do you still feel like the Muslim and punk rock, they're separate, or do you think that they can be?
I would not say that there's any sort of ideology we're trying to push on anyone.
We're very new to all of this sort of media
Sure.
attention, and if we're not careful, then we're stupid.
I am saying
That's not-
that you
that's
are
not what I'm
not
trying to
to come on this bus and film. That's it.
The coverage at this point, it's still just like, oh my God, it's a brown guy with a mohawk.
Yeah, like that's
That's
such
all,
an
and it
unheard of
stops
thing,
there.
you know?
It stops there.
They alienated people by saying that this is Islamic ideological music. Or like, you know, if I'm on the phone in that magazine, in the actual magazine, where I'm on the phone and the caption it says Bas Musmani praying at home, but I was on the phone the whole time. So I mean, if that's what they're doing, then they're misrepresenting us.
The thing is, like, you know, a lot of those media outlets, like especially say Newsweek, you know, their obligation isn't to telling the truth or telling, you know, what we're portraying, what we're trying to say in the way that we want it portrayed. Their first and foremost obligation is to profit, you know, to make profit.
What they don't get is they never engage the difference. Is that some of us might be religious, or some of us might be religious at times, and at times we're not. And some of us just might not give a shit at all, and some of us might be completely political about things or cultural about things. And but they just try to lump us in all into so we're saying the same thing.
I think that's one big problem with just the general concept of Muslims, like altogether, is that people just think there's one kind of Muslim, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's, I think, in a lot of ways is what we're trying to show people, that, you know, to break down these stereotypes.
Basim was telling me that one reporter asked him this totally ludicrous question, which was, how does it feel to be a Muslim and know that there are terrorists out there that are Muslim as well?
What did you say? What was your answer?
You should have turned it around on
Actually, I did. I said, what does it feel like to be white and know about the slave trade?
So in these sour times, please allow me to vouch for mine. Bitter taste in my mouth, spit it out with a rhyme. Oi, I'm losing my religion to tomorrow's headlines. Guantanamo, sorry bro, nah, nothing, it's fine. So all the mans that want to say that my religion's gotta change, and we're stuck in a bygone age, it's time to set the vinyl straight. Don't you think it's kind of strange, all this terror outrage, these last gasp castaways, these bastards that'll blast away, just turned up in the last decade? When Islam has been the way for millions from back in the day. Instead of thinking that we're crazed, investigate just what it says. Fast, help the poor, and pray, go Mecca, be steadfast in faith. That's the basics, that's the base. So how did we get here today? Well, interpretations always change. Yo, interpretations always change. Today they're red with rage. They're being jihaded up. Desperation's kind of fucked. Makes you use a book of peace as weapons in Iraq. So listen, terrorism isn't caused by religion or an old school vision of Islam. It's against the Quran, and it's a new innovation caused by mash-up situations. That's what makes them turn to arms. The problem is modern and it's all local factors. Dictatorships, injustices and wars cause fatwas. So in these sour times, please allow me to vouch for mine. Bitter taste in my mouth, spit it out with a rhyme. Oi, I'm losing my religion to tomorrow's headlines. Abu Ghraib, sorry mate? Nah, nothing, it's fine.
Motherfuckers, they don't give a shit about us, man. They just want to fucking fight us for no reason. They just fucking walk out with a heart on every day to fucking beat someone. You know what I mean? That's all they want to do. Don't say nothing. Oh, damn, he's arguing.
Later, Rob.
Cameras are rolling.
Later, Carlos. Later, everyone. Bye. Thank you.
I don't want
is fucking great.
What?
That is just fucking great.
Wait, the show got canceled?
Yes.
How about this motherfucker? The show just got canceled.
It did?
Yeah. I'm not fucking with you, man.
Why did it get canceled?
It got canceled because they saw the flyer and they didn't like it.
You're gonna get the kid in trouble, man. Why? Because he's homeschooled and he's Christian rock. His parents probably put him up to him.
Dude had a bunch of fucking excuses. And what was the excuse? Like some of the power shit went down or something?
It's all very suspicious.
You said that fucking they're doing like baseball and barbecue shit.
Yeah.
And I guess saw the flyer and he told them everything up front. And now he just said it was canceled probably because of the Muslim thing.
Why do you hate me? Why do you hate me? Why do you hate?
We've driven across Pennsylvania. Now we're in Ohio, and we just need to pull over. And I just see it by the road, all lit up, surrounded by cornfields. That's Islamo-Americana. We just need to pull over and recover, and just see if we can like sleep in the mosque like a bunch of bums.
Hey, pull his arm back. Yeah.
Ah, no!
White devil! White devil! White devil!
He's got him.
I felt very like Muslim positive today. We prayed a lot.
They've actually been all really, really nice. So we just said we were in a band, and they didn't raise any objections. They just thought it was exciting.
I also ended up ordering the Taqwacore, a copy of it, and I read it, and it made me realize that this is definitely something that I want to pursue. Like, it's just really good to know that that support is coming in, you know, whereas sometimes our families or whoever might not support us, we'll know that these guys, you know, are there for us. As an openly queer drag king, lead singer of a Taqwacore band, I know it's going to be a big shocker to people, especially Muslims, especially, you know, people in the West. And I'm not going to hold back. I'm going to add all of those elements into it and not hide anything, really, no matter how much trouble I get into for it. Middle Eastern zombies are the worst kind. Presidential flesh is what is on their minds. Middle Eastern zombies are the worst kind, crawling out in mass graves 2 or 3 at a time.
The ultimate destination was Chicago, which was home to the convention of the Islamic Society of North America.
And every year now, the largest gathering of American Muslims is in Chicago.
You know, ISNA represents the real Islam for North America, the mainstream, the very hygienic, very sterile Islam.
There are certainly different, very different perspectives on Islam that can be represented, and it's that diversity that we encourage. As long as any of this discourse is not encouraging of violence or hatred, then it's a question of free speech.
The Muslim Students Association portion of the convention, they had an open performance night that anyone can just go. No auditions, no nothing. Just sign your name on a clipboard and you're in.
I don't think that's a good idea.
I think it's a great idea.
I don't think it's a good idea because...
I think it's an awesome idea. Isn't it about pissing people off? Isn't it about pissing people off, man?
We're in. I just have to be organizing.
I just think this is kind of a weird crowd to play this music to. You know what I mean? If it lasts more than 2 minutes, I'll be shocked. I don't know if they're ready for it, especially in an Islamic convention. We'll see what the audience has to say about it.
What are you singing to?
Scream really loud for us because I don't think most of these people are going to dig it.
I'll scream. Yeah, we'll mosh. We'll mosh. You'll hear me then. We'll mosh.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Standing alone, I'm watched by your insignificant eyes. Do not infer my heritage.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Adam. I'm blessed to be Muslim. Ramadan. It's coming up soon, huh? Yeah, really exciting time. This is the struggle of a Muslim youth in the month of Ramadan. This is
Islam makes me want to drink again.
I want to introduce the ultimate Taqwacore experience. Brace yourselves.
Female singers.
First of all, there's no more female vocalists after this. It's 5 more minutes. Second of all.
They're trying to shut it down, man.
If this was your policy, you should have made that clear before you made us wait for 3 hours.
What if I can see you? What you say to me? I scream 1,000 times. Why do you hate? Why do you hate me? 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 You ready? Stop! Stop! Stop!
About sisters standing up for themselves.
Hey!
That's it. Shut it down now. Your choice.
Can I at least know what unlock or go into the station under arrest for disorderly? Your choice. Let's go. Things are wrong. 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 Things are wrong.
I told them that there's no female singing, okay? There's no dancing, okay? And that it has to be Islamically appropriate, no cussing, okay? Islamically appropriate means all of those things. But I had specifically said no women, female singers because it's not my opinion on it, it's what our policy says.
I thought the show was great. I mean, I just thought it was rude how, everybody started, obstructing the scene when they weren't okay with how other Muslims were expressing themselves.
MashaAllah, personally, I found it very fresh, alhamdulillah.
I mean, I thought maybe it was crossing the line a little bit.
Kind of, I'm still extremely excited that these little girls got it. That's amazing.
I had my eyes closed and I opened my eyes and I looked out. I'm sick and stopped up. And they're all like, hey, and I'm like, what? What is going on? Completely changes my perspective on everything. Yeah, I feel so good about life right now.
Some people think that stringed instruments are haram.
Stringed instruments can be, some people think you can
play
play
drums, it's okay.
But some people say you can't use drums at all.
Female vocal cords are haram.
Music is haram.
next to her now. Oh, man.
You ever hear the hadith about the prostitute lost in the desert? Well, there was this prostitute lost in the desert, starving, dying of thirst and heat, etc., the whole deal. And when she finally comes to a well, she notices this dog lying there in the sand and dust and sun, totally about to die. So what does the prostitute do? She takes her hijab off, lowers it into the water, and then puts it in the dog's mouth. And for giving the dog water before quenching her own thirst, Rasulullah said all her sins were forgiven. There is a cool Islam. You just have to find it. You have to sift through all the other stuff, but it's there.
There's something inexplicable. There's a magnetism in Pakistan that brought me back. All my life, I've been living in two places. I left with my tail between my legs from Pakistan when I got expelled from school. I buried my grandparents there. I wanted to go back and to see where I would be now. There's a little bit of closure there.
We sang about bringing Sharia law in the USA. What do you have to say about that? Not a bad idea?
This is how we do it. This is martial law.
There are a lot of good parts in there. So I intend I know what you're intending to do. So there's no advice I can give you. I like all of the parts I heard. Provocation will do really well here. Mostly because people are fed up of our pop stars. We're like pop music here in Pakistan. It doesn't really reference any societal elements in Lahore. It's all lovey-dovey, glitzy crap. You know, tell me, inform me, tell me something new, sing something to me, right? Talk about driving down the mall, not having money in your pocket, not wanting to bribe a policeman. You know what I mean? Being pulled over, having to be searched, that feeling of resentment towards the state. People already feel at odds with society, with America, with the government. That's why punk will take off here, one of the reasons.
Bassem went back to Pakistan, and his bandmate Shah Jahan followed him. They started a band called Noble Drew, named after an important African-American Islamic leader from the 1920s. You know, I'd been to Pakistan 14 years before. My first trip to Pakistan, I was in a giant mosque built by Saudi Arabia with teachers and money from Saudi Arabia. I wanted to go see what the real Pakistani Islam was, and also to see what my friends could do with punk rock in Pakistan.
Pakistan.
Mamoon! This is Asif. He's the other guy that goes. The guy?
Yeah, he plays the triangle.
अल्लाह नाल लगाओ करेगा तो तेरी और और कोई भी काम होवे किसी किस्म का भी काम होवे ते जेड़े काम च अल्लाह दी नज़र नहीं हो कोई भी काम नहीं हाँ सही है अल्लाह दा दरवेश है हाँ बुल्ले शाह अल्लाह दा दरवेश अल्लाह
Alright, we are the final act of the night. We're called Noble Drew. And there's, you know, guys, there's 25 minutes of show left. Do you really want to spend all of it sitting down? Do you?
Alright, this song's about social issues. I'd like to dedicate this to all the homosexuals of Atchison College. This song is called Kaleo Vichimru.
Alright?
If you're singing Punjabi, you should sing it like Punjabi. If it goes a little different, then it's, you know, the understanding is changed. So you have to be, you know, like when in Rome, do as the Romans. So
actually, कुछ तो उनको ये नहीं करना चाहिए था कि जो भी स्टेज पे आता है ना, उसका पूरी चीज़ को देखें कि वो क्या कह रहा है, क्या नहीं कह रहा, उसका जो एंड है वो आखिर तक देखना चाहिए. क्योंकि इस तरह एक जो स्टेज पे खड़ा होता है, उसका दिल टूट जाता है.
ये अच्छा नहीं लगा, ये नहीं होना चाहिए. ये लड़कों के लिबास पहनने शुरू कर दिए, ठीक है. स्मोकिंग करना लड़कियों का, और मतलब ये टी शर्ट जीन. लड़के ठीक हैं, लड़के.
Dude, it was Andy Kaufman, man. It's complete Andy Kaufman. You know? Just like, you know, just pissing people off, man. You know?
I know, you're just sitting there.
It's the first time I've heard an Urdu ska punk band. They may be the only Urdu ska punk band in the world.
I'm not sure about the wider Pakistani audience, if they will like it or not.
And what we have here is a lot of poor people and very few rich people, and the cultures that they live in themselves are so different. But I think at the end of the day, the music that was played here tonight is the music for a certain class.
Is there anything like remotely like similar to punk that has any kind of like foothold?
Yeah, the music is a bit of a hot button issue here, I think. And then also like the way music takes shape over the past few months is definitely pretty different than it had been when I was here before.
What about like the kind of crowd that you want to speak to? Because like, you know, does everybody have access to this? Or
I mean, I'm still kind of struggling with that.
To what extent can you make resistance music here?
There's already been resistance poetry, man. There's already been.
But I mean, right here today, like right now, not like historically or.
What is a good way to challenge an audience here?
In order to make a difference in some place, you first have to be absorbed in it. That takes time.
I was playing with the Reeb
for the World Performing Arts Festival. We were all kind of down and out in Pakistan because not so many gigs were happening.
You guys want to play music, that's cool. But if you want to like add this sort of like heretical element in it, some mullahs are going to come and blow you up.
It's so hard to get shows in Lahore. It's so hard to get shows. So we got to do them in our apartment.
Is this thing on it?
That's the shit. That's the shit, man. Yeah. 555.
What's your plan for today? What do you have?
Man, I've had my day.
You've had
it's
your
like
day?
it's like 5 o'clock in the afternoon, man. What's
Yeah.
my plan for today? I went to the old city. All right.
Yeah. You'll be fine. Don't worry about it. You never trust me about this.
Just get me the fuck out of here. Fuck.
You know, the book is full of like characters just getting wasted all the time and that being romantic and cool. And it was a fantasy for me, but I don't think that's what I represent. You know, I've never had a beer. I don't think people know that about me. And I don't think people see that from the book that I wrote. You know what I mean? That's not what I want to say, is fuck religion and get wasted. That's not my it's not my message. You know what I mean?
Dude, you sit around and smoke hash all the time. I would smoke hash today, I still smoke cigarettes, I'll be sitting around still. I'm not extremely productive with or without hash.
That's wonderful. I don't know what to say to that.
I have nothing else to say to you.
They're younger than me, but I feel like I'm kind of living in a dorm with them sometimes. I think when I first got here, like, it meant something that I'm driving around Pakistan smoking hash. That just speaks to me based on my previous experience.
And I felt like to really experience Pakistan as a culture, I have to, just engage everything.
Alright, man. Come back. Tell me about the one. Tell me about the one. I can't look at the movie. You have to look at the I'm on a mission. Look for me, man. If you can't look with your own eyes. Alright, man. Another good pass. Okay, left kiss. He's left.
यूं सजा चांद की यूं सजा चांद की झलका तेरे अंदाज करम
You're running out of time in life. Every breath, you're closer to your end. And that's true of life, and that's true of my time in Pakistan. So you just have to do what you can do at the time you have, and there's no time to fuck around.
यूं फजा महकी के बदला
Faisal Mosque was really the climax of my first experience with Islam. I just felt finally at a place where I could go back to Faisal and face it.
Looks faded from when I was here. Like it was like shiny.
I just saw myself at 17, and I was really, really hurting back then, and I didn't even know it. Pursuing this dream of being a better person and feeling like I couldn't do it, having a dream of being closer to Allah and not feeling like I could be close enough. Sometimes boys without dads just end up really fucked up. Well, when I was here the last time, I was hanging out with the Tablighi Jamaat, and they asked if my mother was Muslim, and I said no, and then they said, well, we're sorry, brother, but your mother's not Muslim, she's going to hell. After coming home from Pakistan, I was very, very intense and very negative to her. I was a teenage son, lecturing his mom about alcohol and appropriate attire. I would lecture her about drinking a glass of wine before bed. I would lecture her about the clothes that she wore. She never argued with me. She never raised her voice to me. My first way to think about that was, my mom was so patient with me. My mom was so loving to me, and that's all true. But there's more to it that's really bad. That's the response of an abused person. She was being abused. I was abusing my mom. For everything that we had been through together, for everything that my mom and I had been through together with my dad, and the way that I spoke to her. And I see him and I see her reacting to me the way that she did to him.
Name?
Mikhail?
Mikhail.
Yes.
Ahmed.
Ahmed?
Hi, Ahmed.
Hi, Ahmed?
Yes, I am like that Imam.
I studied here in 1994.
Acha, you Muslim?
Yes.
MashaAllah, 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 MashaAllah. Your families, brothers and fathers, Muslim? No.
No. My family, not, no.
You only one.
But
You're lucky. Lucky. Yes, really. You're lucky into the Islam. This is you need Jannah. Jannah, you
yes,
Jannah?
Jannah, yes.
Paradise.
Yes.
Your mother know that you Muslim.
Yes,
Go, eh?
yes.
But why not enter mother into Islam? Oh.
She drove me to the masjid in New York to take Shahada. She bought me books.
You try mother Shahada.
Yes.
La ilaha illallah Muslim. Try to get into Islam. Eh?
Inshallah.
It's very benefit, na?
Yes.
Allah Akbar.
When I wrote the Taqwacore, I never even thought that I would have a relationship with Islam again. I thought that was like my goodbye. And then it turns out, you know, it wasn't goodbye. So now you have to like deal with this thing that is never going to go away. Just wondering if it was even the right thing to do.
Punk is good enough. You ever drank punk? We're drinking punk on Thursday, alright? Because punk is like, I would give up charas if I knew I could drink one glass of punk every day.
Michael Muhammad.
नैया चुबारा मुजफ्फरगढ़ से आगे नैया चुबारा आगे चाँव का आजम आगे नैया
चले
दुआ करें आप कुल मुसलमान पे कर्म करें
कहते दुआ
दिन वास्ता यार शम हम तेज जन्नत पाके जन्नत पाके जो भी आप अल्लाह पर ज्ञान रखा
There's so many things in the way of you doing, whether it's what someone's going to think or what means you have or drugs. You know, that there's a lot of things that get in the way of you doing, and sometimes you just have to like knock those things down and just do.
Michael.
It's your choice. All right, the right hand or the left hand? Come on, man. The right hand or the left hand? You're getting the right hand. Dude. Yeah. How you feeling, Saj?
Not so good, Mike. I don't think I want to have hash brownies ever again in my life.
Yeah, have you ever said that before?
No, I haven't.
Hey.
My grandfather on my mother's side was actually the mayor of Lahore in the 50s, and there is this portrait of him hanging at the High Court in Lahore. One. Yeah, it looks like me.
It does.
It's weird. 10th of July. I wasn't really straight with you last time about how much drugs have actually re-entered my life. I've been trying to stop in one form or another since I was like 19. When I came here, you know, I planned on being okay. I don't want to tell any of my family. I have to stop.
I think if they want to work hard and put themselves out there and maybe take some risks, that's another thing. Like maybe really gamble a little bit. I think it could definitely happen.
We had this idea to kind of put on a free show in the heart of Lahore, like the old city, you know, that's not just for the rich kids to come to. The place that we ended up finding was absolutely perfect. It overlooks like one of the most beautiful sites in all of Lahore, the Badshahi Mosque, and it's also in the heart of the red light area, which is, you know, notorious for crime, prostitution, drugs, but it's also, you know, it's beautiful. And it actually seems like the perfect setting for, you know, the kind of show that we want to have.
Mamoon was like, you know, how are we going to do flyers? We need a computer, we need a scanner, how are we going to do all this stuff? We need someone who knows how to do Photoshop. I was like, what the fuck are you talking about, man? It's fucking punk rock, you know? Just draw something on a piece of paper and Xerox it and tape it to a telephone pole. What the shit is going on in your mind that we need Photoshop to make a flyer for a show?
There's this gig. It's for some charity, and he's working for a charity.
Okay.
So he wants us to play a gig on Monday.
On Monday? Yeah.
So he said they're from good families.
If we were in the States, then according to what you're saying, I would not be welcome at that show. I don't come from a good family.
No, man, that's not the point.
Dude, you said don't worry, they come from good families.
The point is, actually, I only wanted to replicate these are the people who actually understand the music what you were playing. Most of the people in Pakistan do not understand what you actually are singing.
So the people
that's
who
the point.
understand Western music are the ones from good
No,
families?
that's
Then
not
what
necessary.
the fuck does good family mean?
Do not yell.
Yeah, exactly. What does good family mean?
This is the thing that you guys do have to admit, that in Pakistan, when people say good family, they mean not somebody from the street.
He's a family man. Don't yell at his cousin. He's from a good family, can't you see? This good guy.
I didn't mean to yell at someone from a good family, I'm sorry. If there's one thing we can't have at a punk rock show, it's loud and rude people. You know what I mean? Tomorrow night, I'm putting on a show at Hotel Fort View on the rooftop. Maybe you'll never get on the radio. Maybe no one within any kind of music establishment will ever support you or, you know, listen to you for 2 seconds. But
even if it's just within your group of friends, you can create your own culture.
Nah, no way, man.
How come, man?
Huh?
Why not?
Muslim country. People here have, since they have the different values in hand, and right now, people see that those values are affected, the family bonds are affected, and things are getting loose.
Musicians have all kinds of values.
And there is no way...
You can't say what someone's value is just by saying they're a musician.
Well, I don't want it, and neither do they want it, trust me.
Show was supposed to start. It's supposed to start in 8 fucking minutes.
Right.
8 minutes, man.
I mean, like, if the crowd isn't out tonight, then, like, I guess we just have to wonder, like, how we fucking bring a crowd out. Like, what didn't we do?
The problem right now with music in Lahore is that you can't reach everybody. You know, music is so coded that rock music is for the rich kids, and traditional music is for the poor kids. You know, and these guys, they're trying to make music for everybody.
Alright, this next one is an original song. It's called Thale Ovi Chumro.
I was on the street, just whoever I saw, just come on, free show, free show, free show, free show. And the guys at the front were saying, no, these are other people, these are other people. I'm like, what do you mean they're other people? You know, what does that mean? So, you know, this isn't for like good families or bad families. It's for all families, no families, whatever.
कॉन्सेप्ट नहीं है कि पंजाबी मिक्स कर रहे हैं इंग्लिश मिक्स कर रहे हैं एंड सो ये अच्छा है कि उन्होंने बिल्कुल एक्सट्रीम क्लासेस मिक्स की नहीं यहाँ पे बिल्कुल आप देख रहे हो कि बादशाह मस्जिद और इस एरिया के लोग हैं एंड देन मतलब डिफरेंट एरियाज के पॉश एरियाज के लोग हैं और इधर सब मिक्स हो रहे हैं साथ बैठ रहे हैं बीच में लाइट गई थी तो उन्होंने ढोल बजाना शुरू कर दिया तो बड़ा मजे का मिक्स है
Everybody quiet for a second. The band and me want to thank you for coming out. We're going to clap for you. Yeah!
Let's hear it from Gora. He knows Charlie ke piche.
George Bush, banjo!
फर्स्ट टाइम हमें बहुत खुशी हुई, बहुत अच्छा महसूस हुआ इधर आके। फर्स्ट टाइम हम आपके इस शो में आए हैं और वेल डन, हमें बहुत मज़ा आया, एंजॉय किया। बिल्कुल हमने ऐसा मॉल, बहुत बेहतरीन मॉल था आपका, बहुत शानदार मॉल था। इंशाल्लाह आप और भी करते हैं ऐसे।
के बारे में, नोबल जूस के बारे में क्या?
नोबल वेरी बेस्ट बैंड। इज म्यूजिक वाओ, साउंड सिस्टम वाओ, दैट्स ब्यूटीफुल।
I thought it was almost impossible to translate the energy of punk in the States to here, you know, and I think what happened tonight was basically the same energy. It was loving, benevolent chaos. You know, it was just benevolent chaos, just everyone just shoving into each other but smiling and loving each other and being friends. And this was the start.
They like punk, man. I mean, I didn't expect that to happen either, but they liked it. So
Has it kind of rocked your world?
it rocked my world a bit, yeah, because it's kind of a collision, you know what I mean? Of like, you imagine something and then it fucking happens. So what do you say to that?
What do you think next?
I'm gonna liberate Iraq.
Allah is arranging things beyond all our grasps. The earth isn't spinning because you told it to. Your intestines aren't digesting by your command. You're made up of a trillion cells that don't ask your permission before offering their rakats. And we think submission's about applying a strict discipline to our worship? We think surrender's about not eating a pig? It's not that small to me. I can't fit my deen in a little box because to me, everything comes from Allah. Birds sing Allah's name. To say Allah's in this book and not that one, or he likes this and not that, do you know who you're talking about? Allah is too big and open for my deen to be small and closed. Does that make me a kafir? I say Allahu Akbar. If that's not good enough, then fuck Islam, you can have it. Imam Hussein said, "He who has no religion, let him at least be free in his present life." So there you go, now let's pray.